Video games!
Real quick, I finished The Last of Us again. Man, that story is just so powerful. Again, the gameplay the second time through, I'm very aware of like the segments that I just kind of want to get through because I remember how boring they are. And you know, the first time you're going through, there's so much tension and you're so nervous and scared about everything happening. That's such a thriller quality that you're not thinking too much about the gameplay itself. You don't know what's going to happen, and so long stretches of things like, you know, running through the snow with the two characters trying to find each other, while poetically and narratively beautiful, is kind of a drag gameplay-wise because you're just getting lost and frustrated. So the second time through, because I remember what's happening in each section, I'm dreading certain parts that are coming up. But still, again, teared me up at the end. Such a beautiful story. The relationship that builds between Ellie and Joel, and there's so many subtle little cues. You know, the way that things like the way that Joel totally closes himself off to Ellie early on, and then later on in those final stretches, you know, she's able to ask him questions and he'll talk about it, or he'll volunteer things. He'll be like, I can't wait to teach you to play guitar. That's going to be great. And like the fact that he sees a future with her and is excited to talk about things that they are going to do together. It totally, you know, you totally understand why he does what he does at the end, which is insane. By the way, I just want to say, whenever I'm playing a game like this where you're playing a very certain kind of character, I always try to play the way that I imagine that character would play. You know, like Grand Theft Auto, there's a certain kind of character in the first few games that you understand behaves a certain way, but no one plays the way that character would actually play. They play like a crazy madman. And I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5 yet, but I understand Trevor in the newest game really represents the way that Grand Theft Auto players play the game. Anyway, so like in a game like Metal Gear Solid, I'm always trying to play stealthy and very much like I'm trying to be like Solid Snake. This last round of the final stretch of The Last of Us is the most I have ever felt like that character. Like, I wish I was recording what I was doing. That final stretch going through the hallways with all these SWAT teams, I was using all my weapons, I was hitting people with bows, I was pulling off, you know, pistol headshots from across the room. I was sneaking around people. I was using my Molotov cocktails, my flamethrower, a shotgun, like just bouncing between all these things and like using each thing to its advantage. I had smoke bombs and nail grenades, and yeah, that was just super satisfying. And so for a game that is really quite basic in its crafting and weapon style and the way that you play it, again, I say all this like it's a problem, but in some ways there's something to be said for it having that level of clarity and familiarity and lack of you know, revolution, because then it means that the story, which really is kind of revolutionary for the video game medium, can stand out more on its own. That's the contrast, that's the figure field and the juxtaposition that the game does so well visually as well. You know, you have these really beautiful days during horrible events and really rainy days and dark clouds during actually very calm and relaxing events, which, yeah, there's such a genius to this game. I really love it. So all I'm saying again there is The Last of Us, 5 stars with confidence of 5. Really beautiful game. Awesome. Also finished The Legend of Zelda. I totally forgot what happened at the end of this game. I mean, I'll be frank with you, the last couple dungeons are so complex and have so much backtracking going on, and so many weird, like, idiosyncrasies for like, oh, well, in order to get this key, you have to hit this switch in this room, and then put a bomb in this wall, and go up here. And so much of it is trial and error that I was just like, screw this, I'm getting a walkthrough. So, loses a couple points for that, because when the fun threshold is at that point where you just want to get through it and you're not having fun so much as you're frustrated, that's a problem. But get through that last section of dungeons. I like in the last dungeon you're doing battles with all the different bad guys you've kind of encountered throughout the game. That's really cool. And then you go into the windfish, which I totally forgot about. And I totally forgot that, or you go into the egg rather, and I totally forgot that there's a labyrinth in there, that the only way you can figure out how to get through it is you have to go all the way back to that library you saw at the beginning of the game, which, man, if I didn't read that in the walkthrough, I have no idea how long it would have taken me to figure that out. Like, it's one book in the corner of the library that you need a magnifying glass to read. You only get the magnifying glass if you've gone through the whole, you know, getting the boomerang puzzle. And so you go in there and you do this awesome nightmare battle. The final battle is really cool because it's this creature that's constantly evolving and changing. It's just this blackness. And the visual quality of that on a little 8-bit Game Boy screen. Is it 8-bit or 16-bit? I think it's 8-bit. The little, you know, screen there of what you can do graphically was really, really cool. And of course, what's happening at the end of the game is really fascinating, because all the characters are like, don't you understand? We're in a dream. If you wake up the windfish, we all die. We all cease to exist. Please don't do this. And so you're battling the final boss, and he's just like begging you, like, please, please let us live. And you're kind of sitting there. It's in a weird way, it's kind of like the end of The Last of Us, where you're like, I'm not sure if I want to help this character do what he wants to do, because you're like, why do I want to kill so many people? And then, of course, as the game is ending, you know, the music gets really soft and sweet, and you're fading through like all the different parts of the world that you visited, and they're all fading away. And then you're just kind of left in the ocean. Feels kind of like lost, like the island has disappeared, and now you're just there, floating in the water. So yeah, you know, it's a really beautiful, idiosyncratic, bizarre game, and I had a lot of fun with it. So Legend of Zelda, playing it all these years later, probably 15 years after I first beat it. So I'm going to give it 4 stars with a confidence of 3, which frankly, I mean, it's aged pretty well. Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, and you know, I've still never played any of the other Zelda games. Maybe someday I will. Batman Arkham Knight, I already mentioned this in the architecture section for some reason, but when we got the new laptop for my office, it came with a free copy of Batman Arkham Knight. What a coincidence that the specs I need for like a good VR laptop also happen to be the specs needed for a good gaming laptop, so, you know, sometimes it comes with these things. So I spent, you know, like 2 days nonstop downloading whatever it was, like 60 gigabytes needed for Batman Arkham Knight, and installed it, and then was like so excited to play it, and I plug in the controller, and I'm like, this is like a mobile PS4, and honestly, I think the graphics, what this laptop can do, is probably better than a PS4, so, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, I might not get a PS4, I might just play it on this laptop, which will be great, by the way, because when the baby is here, Lord knows I'm not going to have any time to be playing that game at home, so I might just be playing it on the train ride to and from work. We'll see, but I'm kind of tickled by the fact that in this day and age that I'll be able to do something like that. But anyway, so this game, I started up, and it's giving me like a seizure almost. It's just flashing black screen, and I'm like, what is going on? And I knew there were some problems with the patch in the game. Basically, it's just another bug they haven't fixed. You have to go into like windowed mode, and you can't have it be full screen, and there's some resolution thing going on. Once I got the game to start running, it's freaking beautiful. It's a gorgeous game, the way Gotham looks at night, the way Batman looks, all the character models, the lighting, the water, absolutely gorgeous, and the fact that it can look that good on a laptop while maintaining like a 30 to 40 frame per second, you know, frame rate, really impressive. Also, this is the most fun I've ever had with one of these Batman games. I played all of the Batman games except for Arkham Origins. I beat Arkham Asylum. I've played a little bit of Arkham City, but this one just grabbed me right away. Like, I was having so much fun right away. What this game does really well is it teaches you how to be Batman in a non-intrusive way, because it's like, oh, here's the Batmobile, very quickly, here's a tutorial about everything, how to do the Batmobile, and it doesn't feel like too, you know, weird, because you're doing like a little augmented reality thing. So it's like, you're there, you have the thing, do a quick VR tutorial, and then now, okay, now you can use it, you know, all the tricks. It's almost like the Matrix, like, now I know Kung Fu. And so that worked with, you know, learning certain moves. There's some really cool, you know, stalkery, stealthy things where if you have like fear mode enabled, where everyone's scared of you, you can go through and very quickly take down like 4 guys, which actually feels a lot like the CQC takedown stuff that happens in Metal Gear Solid. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Batman games draw heavily from the Metal Gear Solid games, because all the stealthy kind of things that Batman does feel derivative of Metal Gear Solid. There we go. I think I used the word derivative correctly, I think. But yeah, it's just a ton of fun. I was having a great time. I know there are certain plot points coming up that I'm probably going to be excited about, but just from a gameplay perspective, really fun game. I love all the stuff with the Batmobile, the way it moves, very fluid, a lot of fun. There was a thing I had to do where I was going from rooftop to rooftop in the Batmobile, and I kept messing it up, and I kept falling and having to start over, and in a lot of cases that would be frustrating to me, and I'd be like, oh my god, I just want to get past this part. But it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I had no problem trying again and doing it again, and all the combat is really fun, and all I can say is it's a really beautifully polished game, and I can't imagine any experience that would make you feel more like Batman until, of course, we get to more into the world of VR and augmented reality. But this is the most Batman-y experience I think that exists out there right now, through movies, video games, comic books, whatever. This is how you feel like Batman. Arkham Knight, check it out. Right now, I'm giving it 5 stars. 5 stars with a confidence of 2, because I'm still very early on.